really have to train for it. It requires more muscles to do it. I think anyone can do it the first stage because, do you know Benihana? Okay, it's a restaurant where the chef comes and prepares the meal at your table, right? And when you're a stage actor, you're the Benihana chef, and all of like the set and the script and the costumes and all of the props and everything, they're just your ingredients that you chop up at the point of sale with the customer and serve the dish. But you're the chef, and when you're in film, you're just the celery. And the editor is going to come and chop it up and get it ready, at the point of sale. So the thing is, you have to be a very honest, very crisp piece of celery. So there's something about having to be very honest and not, because on stage everything's planned out. There's a certain safety to that, but with a film it's a little more dangerous because you don't really. The camera wants something to be filmed. It wants something to actually happen for real, that it's documented. It doesn't want the illusion of the first time. It actually wants to film the first time. And so that's kind of a trick. But I would much rather be able to say it. It's harder.
So the answer is crisp celery. Okay, anybody else? No, just vegetarians. Yes.
What do you find to be the most honest part of your portrayal of the characters in comparison to your own reality as a person?
The most honest?
Yeah.
It's a stage.
Wait, say it again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What do you find to be most honest in your portrayal of your characters as compared to yourselves? For example, like, what do you find that you took from yourself and your own life experience that most shaped the character as you portray it on stage?
I don't know for that either.
Are we like our characters?
Wait.
Yeah, you can bring anything of yourselves into your characters.
We become like our characters as we rehearse, which is very different. I think it's kind of different with film. It's sort of like with stage, which is why I think a lot of actors who, I agree with James, who have training, love stage because you have the time to explore. I don't want to say the human condition, but I'm going to say it. and you find the character in yourself eventually. It's like it, as opposed to a film or a television thing where you have to be whatever they're looking for in that moment. There's no exploration. You discover it. You look at the sides, which are the dialogue they send you. You look at it and you go, okay, I relate to this, blah, 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 and I'll see if I get the job. So you do that in a day or two or whatever. Whereas stage gives you this wonderful arc where you can find all kinds of things that are similar to you, and then suddenly you bond with this character and you love this person. I don't know.
It's always a work in progress, actually. At stage, you keep developing your character as time goes on. Even once we open, it isn't over once you open. I think I wrote you a note saying it's not in the can. It's always
ongoing.
It
keeps going. It's growing.
It's about what you find in yourself. Now, in this one, I'm really not a magician. I have not much interest in magic, but I do have a passion for theater, for performing, for that sort of thing, and I just redirect that passion into what this character did. You do find these things in yourself all the time that you can relate to the character. You bring him out of the character, but he's got specific things about him you have to find too. So you kind of combine.
At the same time, character really is a combination of what we bring as actors, our own personalities, that and the script. The script dictates.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah, really. If you just read Ellen's script, his characters are very clear.
Absolutely.
And so, we bring some of the color of ourselves to it, but really what we're doing on stage is trying to marry ourselves to what we saw when we first read the script. And I just speaking, God, if I'm like Chris, I guess I can be very gullible, and I think that I love life, but like I'm a parent, so I'm worried all the time, constantly. So it's so fun, you know. So it's so fun to just let that go at the stage door and just be like, oh, isn't this great? You know, just let go of all your worries and just appreciate everybody and everything's wonderful and you don't notice anything that's bad.
I'm different than you guys. I have to start with myself. Always. And I mean, I think I just use situations where I felt humiliated or overlooked, you know, whether it's a work situation in your family or an acting teacher or, you know, and just kind of that. And then the other stuff is a layer that you put on, the accent or stuff like that. I think you have to start with you. That's how I've been trained. You know, but then it grows into the character as you grows.
I usually start with shoes.
Not outside in or inside out.
I have to work on it. It's called the shoe within. How to find your character. I think all of that's valid. I mean, and I also think for me, like every project's different. Depends what the script gives you too.
That's
You know,
true.
if it's like a really heavy piece, you may want to work on it differently than you would work on something. Like Ellen's piece is actually, I think is actually quite a tricky piece because it can lean very quickly into a full drama, or it can lean to a really full comedy. And I think where her piece is sometimes tricky as an actor is finding that in between, because it's not really one or the other. She has this awesome mix of all of it. And that can be really tricky because on one night it can lean either way depending on the pace, or it's such an ensemble piece that it's sort of like Christmas lights. It's like if one goes out, they all go out. And that really is it. I mean, because this is truly like a synergy experience.
But I have to say, and the reason I love Ellen's play so much, is that I've always felt that comedy comes from such an honest place, such a real place, and it's the audience accepts the world because it's a real thing. It's like the best of Neil Simon did this, and that's what Ellen has done. She's found this wonderful balance between it's not silly, it's not